Let's see. There's your man on the motor pacing bike again, taking pace along the bike lane alongside the road as we get the aerial shot looking down on the first of our Jumbo-Visma riders to drop off.
Now this is when you look at the composition of the Jumbo-Visma, they are taking this up very, very late, but they've got the likes of Jos van Emden and Tosh van der Sande, two of the most experienced riders on their squad, both well into their 30s, and then there's a big drop off. You've got the likes of Koy, as you said, only 20 years of age, augmented by Lars Boven and Mick and Tim van Dijk, but they're being matched on the right hand side, aren't they, by another sort of yellow. That's the Bingo Pal Sources team, happy to take it up. And then you've got Magnus Sheffield just marshalling, the only rider at or near the head of affairs at the moment for the Ineos Grenadiers.
You can see Viviani about 15th or 20th wheel back, so Sheffield is just up there as a lone operator at the moment. You never know with him. I can't believe he's going to be trying to go for the win. It's got to be down to Viviani, but he's in. If he's helping Viviani, he's not quite in the right place unless he's just going to try and string things down, and Viviani will move up maybe. Now we're seeing the dark blue of Alpecin Fenix, aren't we? And it looks like Marechko is just on the back wheel of the last Jumbo-Visma rider there, isn't he? That's one of the Van Dijker twins there. Couldn't tell you which one because they're both split 3 wheels apart, but definitely Marechko is the tiny figure. He's a very compact rider, isn't he? Just in front of John Degenkolb by the looks of it.
Yep, that's definitely him there. You can just see Magnus Sheffield taking. That's quite interesting. Jos van Emden drifted up and was more than happy actually just to slot back in behind the two riders from Bingo Pal Sources who are taking things up. I did expect there to be a couple of accelerations here, but it seems to me that the speed they're moving at the moment is actually going to suit these World Tour teams. No point in ripping it up. They're quite happy with their positioning play. Earlier on, there was an opportunity to try and break things up. Didn't quite work, so now with only 8.5 Ks to go, this isn't about splitting the race, it's about keeping a high tempo and ultimately getting their key sprinters in position for that final rather stressful, tortuous little twisting run into the line.
It shouldn't be difficult along here to keep the speed up either, because this is the point of the course where they have slight downhill and a directly pushing tailwind too.
Yep.
Actually looks like Moraine Bogard going again. Pretty certain it is the Alink Continental Cycling Team. This is the order of the evening by the looks of it. It really is criterium style. Riders taking multiple opportunities to attack. You wouldn't normally see that in a big open road stage, but this is very much an evening kermesse here in Zeeland province in the Netherlands.
Well, again, this is one of the reasons. If you look at the lineup of that squad, they're a solid team. They don't have a really protected sprinter. This is a massively important race, and if you've got reasonably good legs, remember it's only a relatively short stage here. It's fast, it's furious. Why not have a go? Why not attack? Get your team name out there. It's one of the peculiarities of our sport is that just getting off the front. I don't know, it's like having a long shot at goal in a football match and it's skimming the crossbar or something, or even going wide. Sometimes you've got to have a crack, because they know that ultimately they are going to be overhauled by the big, mighty, strong teams here, the big World Tour teams, but they're also a key component part of one of the biggest races on home soil. So that's why we will always see these smaller teams go on the offensive, and at some point, I think it's a great habit to get into as well, because somewhere down the line, that aggressive, tenacious spirit will serve them well, and they will get a win or a good result off the back of it.
Young riders, impressionable riders, or riders starting out in their racing journey, listening to the words of Matt Stevens, former British road race champion there. Inspiring stuff, and you're absolutely right, Matt. It's the best way to test the deep end is to jump straight in the deep end. If you swim well, you'll be fine.
It's often the baptism as fire, especially when you're riding against the likes of Jumbo-Visma, DSM, Ineos, etc. We've got, but there's this particular field. There's a real breadth of ability and also budget in between the teams. So but I think that again, that's one of the beautiful democratic things about our sport. Is DSM take it up on the little cycle path there, that little cut through. They've now got 4 riders on the front, and they should be looking after Welsford after that win 2 laps ago. Well, a lap and 3/4 ago. Only 6.3 Ks to go now, Jess.
But this might help us as well, because the big German John Degenkolb is leading. So that would suggest that he's not there. Well, that does mean he's not their protected sprinter. And when presuming Sam Welsford is tucked on the back of that line of boys in black and blue, and DSM not quite had the year. Well, they've not had the last year or so that we've become accustomed to as Sunweb. Their transition to being Team DSM has not been quite as high-flying as the Sunweb days. that doesn't quite compare with the women, where they can't stop winning. Their women's DSM team have been particularly successful, not least through Lorena Rebus, who's plying her trade on British shores at the moment. I won't do any spoiler alerts, but don't forget you can catch the Women's Tour all week with Marty McDonald, Danny Rowe and Hannah Walker here at the home of cycling. Check your local territory restrictions, but if you can watch it, catching up on the Women's Tour this week, live, I'm pleased to say, for the first time ever, live on Eurosport GCN. It'll be a great way to see how the DSM are bossing it in the women's side of the sport too. Let's see if they can boss it on the men's side today. Final lap, final 5 kilometres of stage 1 of the ZLM Tour.
Indeed. Well, that was a long turn on the front by John Degenkolb. It's now Magnus Sheffield to see with the strapping on his knee. He's got Hajduk just on his wheel. Bent can't quite see, just see Jan Willem van Schippen now moving up as well for Human Powered Health in that orange and purple kit. There'll be no doubt, I would imagine, well, they've got two very good sprinters, the men in orange, haven't they? On Arvid de Klein or Matt Gibson. Difficult to know which one of they're going to be riding for, but also we can just see the other orange kit, one of 3 teams in orange, the Rival cycling team moving up in the middle there, just behind Elia Viviani, who's tucked onto the wheel of Ben Turner.
Jos van Emden on the right-hand side of the shot, just re-rallying the Jumbo-Visma troops and bringing them back to the front. I noticed there, by the way, you mentioned human-powered health, Matt, in the orange and kind of purpley fade colours. Matt Gibson was the second. That was close. We got an idea there, didn't we, of what it's like. These shots, by the way, at the back of the peloton are mighty close. We don't normally get them this close, but our camera motorbike right in there, and you've got a real sense of that kind of weaving, sudden lock onto the brakes, and then you're back on it again there. So we are getting a real POV shot back here, as you say, Matt.
Yeah, we are indeed. We just sort of Senna Layson at the back. One of the few riders who just participated in the Giro d'Italia. They came off that race with a 3-stage win, didn't they, Alpes in Phoenix? But Senna Layson looking like he's just dropping off here. Again, difficult to see the colour blocking. They definitely are looking after Jakob Mareczko, but again, they might be trying to leave things very, very late indeed, as it is Human Powered Health taking on Ineos Grenadiers, or one rider from Ineos Grenadiers, and they've got John Degenkolb on the front with that necklace dangling. The double monument winner, of course, Milan San Remo and Paris-Roubaix, so experienced, leading out his younger riders there. So 4 teams across the front now.
Matt Gibson is the human-powered health rider with the very high helmet on his head. He's not quite fitted his vast hair underneath that, by the looks of it, because he has Arvid de Klein on his wheel. So I think there's the answer to our question. If you look down the front of them here, the high helmet figure there is Matt Gibson. Just behind him, Arvid de Klein. You know what I mean? Well, look at him. He's got. I think he's not quite managed to get all of his hair underneath it. Anyway, we're seeing also the Estonian national champions jersey of Mikkel Reim. Looks like he might. No, I know he's trying to get onto the back wheel of his Burgos Biace teammates. There they are in the purple and blue. Jonathan Narvaez also trying to punch his way in near the front there. Timothy Dupont sits, I think, 3rd wheel there of the boys in bright neon yellow as well. So it could be they are working maybe for Carl Patrick Lauk, the Estonian. I wonder if he's sitting 4th wheel, because Tim Dupont was 3rd from a look at that shot.
Yeah, quite interesting. Now we've got I think it's trying to think, is that Jonathan Narvaez on the front at the moment? No, sorry, it's not Jonathan Narvaez. That is Cam Worth, the rider who has just spent, he's a triathlete, mixes triathlons riding at the highest level, and also has done a fair bit of gravel riding recently too. So certainly got a lot of miles in his legs.
Oh yeah.
But just trying to see if I can see Elia Viviani just moving up the inside. He's just moved in front of Jakob Mareczko. Mareczko, remember, the little Italian in the blue jersey of Alpecin Phoenix. But he's tucked in just out of view. It's Worth still rides on the front there.
It's a very good pick, and you've mentioned already, Matt, a good number of very fast finishing track riders. Of course, Elia Viviani, although we think of him as a great road sprinter as well, he is a wonderful track rider in general, right across the different disciplines on track. And this could be a good trackies finale with a slightly technical run in. The fact that we think it certainly won't be coming into the finish as wide as this, because if it is, we're going to have a massive crash. It's going to be thinned right down through those last little chicanes, isn't it? It might suit a track rider quite well.
Yeah, definitely. For a rider who, well, has got a lot of courage and confidence in his teammates as well, because you need to be guided in. But if you can take that, if you could probably win this with 350 metres to go. If you come into that corner first, you're carrying so much speed, and it's one of those corners that looks to me as if they're just about feathering the brake. So it's quite a stressful run into the line as Human Powered Health take things up at the front. You can see how difficult it is to maintain this pace at the front. The riders rocking and rolling, probably sticking out well in excess of 500 watts. Only 2Ks to go now as the men in orange take things up. So good positioning plate, and it is indeed Gibson with a high helmet in second.
Thank you. I'll claim that. Yes, well, I have to say, DSM have been ridden right out of this. John Degenkolb flicked his elbow because he just literally emptied it. He had nothing left, flicked his elbow. But the next rider who was going to come through, I think it might have been Niels Hickhoff, literally had nowhere to go, and Degenkolb had nowhere to go. So he basically took his team out. They're gone. They're right the way down now as well, DSM. So Welsford may, oh no, he's being brought back to the front. You can see him on the right, on the outside, moving up there on the wheel. Pretty certain that's Welsford. It's certainly Degenkolb.
Yeah, this is Degenkolb just moving up. Well, I don't know if this is near the back. I think
he might be off the back.
Yeah,
he gave it a big flick, and that was the end. He pulled the pin.
This is Gibson. Gibson is now on the front now. We've only got 1,300 metres to go. This is going to go in the blink of an eye. You can just see there's not a lot of organisation here. You can just see Sheffield in the centre. Now Turner coming up with Viviani on as well.
Here we go.
Turner now lifting on the left-hand side here, Jez.
Yeah, Elia Viviani tucked in. It is very messy. It's going to need to be strung out and thinned down before they come into this section, because the bunches at the moment way too close together. I hope we're going to get through all of this safely. It needs to be strung out. At the moment, it's the Avalok cycling team, the Continental team. Matthew Gibson is doing everything he can, the British rider, to try and keep Arvid de Klein in place, but he hasn't got him. He hasn't got him, and this is Operation Viviani right now, because it looks like Ben Turner has got him in a perfect place. I thought it might happen. I hope that rider's all right, because it's very close to that post. That was a nasty-looking crash. Let's see. So it has been Ben Turner still leading, but even he's starting to wind right now as well. The colours of Jumbo-Visma moving up on that side. Can they get Olaf Koy in place? Olaf Koy looks to be second of those two riders. Viviani getting squeezed a little bit. This is going to be a very tight finale through these last two bends. We're coming into that kink, the left-hander, and then the little kink to the line itself. Jumbo-Visma are going to be the first to lead into it. It is very tight, Matt. Right through the left-hander. Here we go. Olaf Koy looks like he's opened up. He's got Mareczko on his wheel. Jakob Mareczko trying to come off the wheel. Can he do it by the line? Right on the line. I think Jakob Mareczko may have taken stage one. It was certainly the Alpecin Fenix up against Jumbo-Visma. Wow, that was close on the line. Oh, two of the Jumbo-Visma riders give each other a fist bump there. I'm not sure about that.
Again, we'll have to see that again. It did look like he might have just got that one, the Jumbo-Visma rider, Koy. I think it was very, very close indeed. Mareczko's coming up really fast. We'll have to get confirmation, but boy, that was a stressful finale. Viviani got squeezed just before that chicane. And as we said, if you hit that final little chicane in first place, it's going to be very difficult to get enough speed to go past. But there we go. It is indeed, by the looks of things there, it's going to be Olaf Koy that took that one. Number 3 on the right-hand side, that's win. If we get confirmation, of course, that's win. Could be win number 5 for the young Dutchman.
Well, he's pretty certain about it, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Looks like it was him, yeah.
That is one of the Van Dijker twins giving him a fist bump. Let's have a look at it from above. I must admit, from the shot front on, I think maybe it was because Mareczko was coming quite quick and quite late. I wonder whether he might get it, but here we go. Do you want to talk us through this, Matt? You
can just see DSM take things up here. Ben Turner done a big turn on the front now. Viviani just drops in to the wheel of the rider from DSM, but Koy is coming up now. He's sitting about 4th place, but watch this turn of speed now from Koy. Right over the outside. That's where he's essentially starting his sprint. So carrying all that pace, and look at the way he cuts that corner. Perfect trajectory as well, forcing Viviani onto the inside. Mareczko did well to get into the slipstream of the Dutchman, and Mareczko, to be fair to him, came off the wheel and was actually moving a little bit quicker, but in the end Koy just got that absolutely perfect and started his sprint, took the pace he needed into that really technical part, and just basically the key part of that sprint was that little chicane, and carried enough speed to go into the line. It looks like there's a little bit of a discussion going on here. Don't know what that is all about. That might have been Ben Turner having a word. Here's that final 150 metres. There is Koy on the front. Mareczko coming into the win now, carrying a lot of pace. And the gap foreshortened, I think, so it's clearly half a length there in the end, I think.
Viviani was third and Welsford fourth by the looks of it. So that might set the pattern, Matt. I wonder if that'll set a bit of a pattern for the next few days. I mean, when this race was last won, they actually spread the wins around pretty evenly between Groenewegen and Caleb Ewan and, well, Groenewegen got 2 actually, and Jos van Emden as well. And there we go. It was, what, half a bike length in the end between Moresco and Olaf Koy. But I wouldn't say that he's, you know, I was talking earlier about Olaf Koy as being a bit like, I've forgotten his name again. I've gone and done it again. Our Belgian sprinter from Monday. How do I keep forgetting his name? I'll come back to that. I'm embarrassing myself. Thank you very much. But Arnaud Delis's win on Monday was much more, once he'd opened up, he was always going to win, whereas that was a little bit closer, maybe due to the technical nature. I certainly wouldn't say that looking at that, Olaf Koy, well, he is now the man to beat this week. But there were enough other fast finishers there who were pretty close and challenging there as well. We've got a nice handful of really up-for-it sprinters this week. They're going to take it right the way through to the finish on Sunday. But he's been the best of them so far. Sam Welsford looked impressive at that final sprint point, though, as well. So we look forward to seeing a little bit more from him, too.
Yeah, and I think that this particular sprint, because of the super technical nature of that run into the line, there's never really enough moves for anybody to properly... getting the lead out right for that. And we saw how chaotic it was. There was a few little attacks. There wasn't a lot of colour blocking, as we finally do see. And there's